The best advice anyone ever gave me was 2 words. You can't. And you know what my response was? 2 words. Watch me.
And good evening. Let me get that full screen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of Black and Blue. The podcast is just for you. I'm your host. I'm your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker's Coach Clee coming at you. Yes, I am Ecclesiastics 302, Crimes Code of Ecclesiastics 302. I'm the coldest code switching detective, and I spell my name is C-L-E-E. That means continuing law enforcement edutainment, because we entertain and we educate while we go through this process. I'm here. I'm King 360. If you didn't already know, you got to go 3 miles with a 60-pound weight vest. And when you get done with that, you see how the endorphins really make you feel like you accomplished something. It's a lot of fun. I hope you guys like that new intro right there. I told you last week I lost a lot of the files I had saved. So therefore I had to create a new intro. I kind of like that one a little better. They all get better as time goes on. Today is Thursday night. This is the podcast night where we go live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the podcast Black and Blue. The podcast is just for you. It's for first responders and law enforcement officers, and we talk about their trainings, experiences, and their publications. And it doesn't matter if they're rookie season or retirees. We have a lot of fun doing it. We bring them to the show. August has been, this summer has been one of those months that's been up and down. It's been real hectic and busy right now. See, Rich Oakley's in the house. Thank you for tuning in, my friend. Please tag, like, share, and subscribe. I see you out here on social media making many things happen, so I appreciate you, and I appreciate you for tuning in. I'm actually in a training right now. It's been a great training on. It's been going on this entire week. Tomorrow's the last day for it, and I'll be in training a couple weeks from now as well. A lot of things, schedule changes and things like that. So, a lot of things, got to remix things, got to change things up a little bit. So therefore, I haven't been able to plan or schedule shows like I want to, but today's show, I know I say it's going to be real brief. I've been saying that lately, but today's show is probably going to be another one of the brief ones, a legit brief one. I have no Sergeant Be Safe cartoons to feature. So therefore, if you're looking for him, you got to check out the social media page, the YouTube page, and tag, like, share, and subscribe to his page. And you can check out all the latest and greatest. There are some that are being worked on right now, but it just wasn't able to get done with all the things that are going on right now. All right. But before I get into all that, we're on how many? I think six different platforms. We're on a few on Facebook. We're on 2 on YouTube, and we're on 1 on LinkedIn. So make sure, like you see what Rich did, if you're looking for that shout out, please put your name and where you're from in the comment section, and we'll give you the shout out. If you have a question or comment, put that in the comment section as well, and we'll go forward with that as well. We're going this. I'm trying to get ahead of myself because I'm excited for the show. I'm excited because this is the preview of a show that I actually really want to work on. And I have a lot of the steps involved for that show, but I'm just not ready to bring that show forward. So this one's going to kind of be like the stepping stone to that show that it should be in the future. And I think it's going to be really good. I think it's something that's really needed. So I'm excited for it. I hope you guys are too. What was I going? Spotify. This show's also going to be uploaded on the Spotify when this is done. So if you're not already subscribed to that channel, make sure you do so. And this is all sponsored by One Way Publishing. The Sergeant Be Safe platform is sponsored by One Way Publishing. This show, Black and Blue, the podcast is just for you, sponsored by One Way Publishing. And also, One Way Publishing is your book publishing company. I got to do my 5 hard books, actual hard copy books, and 2 digital books through One Way Publishing and this entire platform they sponsor. And also they have many clients that made their dreams come true. Their motto, the motto is they could turn a mere thought into a book that's bought. So if you ever wanted to write your own book, whether it was fiction, nonfiction, whatever it may be, a instruction book, a how-to, that's the place that's just for you. One Way Publishing. You see it scrolling below. Let me put it in the comments section too. I know it'll show up everywhere except on LinkedIn. And just like you saw with Rich Oakley, sometimes his name and profile shows up, sometimes it doesn't. So thank you. I appreciate you putting your name in there for me, Rich. Hope things are going well. But there it is. I put that in right there. And I'll put that on the screen for you so you know what the YouTube page, podcast page looks like, right? It just looks just like that. All right. I think we got a lot of the formalities out of the way. No, sorry to be safe today. Do have an explainer video. We're talking about, of course, the cannabis and the chaos that it causes. And not to get into it. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. We got the intro out the way, and this one's not going to be too long. Got an intro, the explainer that'll explain some things on, the effects on what cannabis and marijuana can do now. I remember growing up when it was more earthly, when it was more natural, when it came from growing it legitimately from the ground. And now when it was illegal at that in most places as well. Now that it's been more normalized and legalized, it comes from a factory, more say. It's not as natural. It has other substances in it, medicinal substances in it. And then everyone always said that marijuana was going to be a gateway into other drugs. And we used to buck against that when we were in high school. And I wasn't a big weed smoker. I smoked weed maybe like 2 or 3 times in my entire life, believe it or not. That just wasn't my thing. It just wasn't for me. So therefore, I know people who have, and I know people who've done it mostly from their teens all the way into their adult life until they hit their mid-30s, probably 40s. And I saw how they had an arrested development. They kind of got stuck in that same mindset, that same mind frame until they actually slowed down or stopped smoking it. The cottage industry, absolutely. And they got stuck in that same mind frame, and they didn't come out of that mindset until they actually stopped smoking a little bit and they started to grow. And it's kind of seeing their maturity levels. It's a little off, a little different for those who have. Some use it for aches and pains. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying you should or should not do it. Just take a valuable look at it, because now with the cocktails that are out there, this will explain it, with the prescription drugs that are being evaluated and given out like water and candy. Mix it with alcohol, mix it with a lot of the preservatives in the food, mix that with some of the substances that are in medicinal marijuana, whether you have your card or not. You mix that up, you get personality disorders. And when you get personality disorders, it leads to a whole triome of different things. All right. But we'll explain all that not only in this show, we'll touch on it a little bit, but we're going to explain it in depth on the upcoming show, because we're going to talk about how it's affecting the youth. How, for one, if you like the show, talking about family dynamics and how the families are falling apart, and how you got son husbands and you got masculine females out here doing their own thing, and then you add in a mix of things. It's a recipe for generations down the line to have actual. It's a recipe for chaos, is what it is. Big business, absolutely. Yes, it is big business. And I mean, we're talking about that for one, because now that you can make big money off of it. And I know people who've retired out of this job and now go deliver or work armed security for medical marijuana places. And I don't knock them, because they're making good money. They're using their skills for what is legal. So, I mean, it is what it is, but understanding the foundation, you're able to make money off of it. You have insurance companies that can make money off of it, for one, by supplying the over-the-counter drugs or prescription drugs, which is the epidemic in itself. And then you have the medical marijuana for whatever reasons. We'll get into it. I'm going to have the explainer video start now, and we're going to touch on some of the things there. And we're just going to have a good show. I can't wait for the preview of the show to come, because it's going to be eye-opening. It's going to be tremendous. It's not just going to be about marijuana or cannabis or anything. It's going to be about just the effects on a whole conglomerate of things, and how it's working on the upcoming generations, and which direction we're going. And is there a safety net, or is there a savior in the way? We'll see. But here's the explainer video.
Dark side of cannabis and mental health. In the haze of cannabis smoke lies a complex relationship with mental health that is often overlooked. While cannabis is widely celebrated, its darker implications on personality disorders, particularly in vulnerable youths, warrant our attention. Cannabis may not directly cause personality disorders, but studies reveal alarming correlations. Research shows that individuals with disorders like antisocial and borderline personality disorder are more likely to use cannabis. It's a troubling cycle. Those grappling with mental health challenges often find temporary solace in cannabis, but this can exacerbate their symptoms. Enter Cannabis Use Disorder, or CUD, a significant risk factor linked to higher rates of personality disorders. In fact, individuals with CUD show elevated instances of personality disorders when compared to the general population. This is especially concerning for our youth, who may turn to cannabis as a coping mechanism for their emotional pain. But it doesn't stop there. As cannabis use intertwines with alcohol and prescription medications, it creates a dangerous cocktail that can amplify erratic behaviors. This is particularly evident among juveniles who may find themselves acting out of character. Research indicates a dose-response relationship. The more cannabis consumed, the greater the risk of developing psychotic symptoms and disorders. These findings underscore the potential for cannabis to trigger or worsen psychosis, a frightening prospect for those already vulnerable. We need to delve deeper into this tangled web. Experts stress the importance of comprehensive research to fully understand how cannabis exacerbates existing mental health issues. What pathways does it create for addiction and dysfunction? The answers could be critical in shaping future health policies. As we navigate the evolving landscape of cannabis legislation, let's not forget the silent struggles faced by many. Communities are increasingly recognizing the need for open conversations about mental health and substance use. Awareness and understanding are essential in fostering a healthier future for our youth. Real stories remind us that recovery is possible. Those who have faced the consequences of cannabis use and mental health challenges share their journeys, emphasizing the importance of seeking help and support. In the haze of cannabis smoke lies a complex relationship with mental health that is often overlooked. While cannabis is widely celebrated, its darker implications on personality disorders, particularly in vulnerable youths, warrant our attention. Cannabis may not directly cause personality disorders, but studies reveal alarming correlations. Research shows that individuals with disorders like antisocial and borderline personality disorder are more likely to use cannabis. It's a troubling cycle. Those grappling with mental health challenges often find temporary solace in cannabis, but this can exacerbate their symptoms. Enter Cannabis Use Disorder, or CUD, a significant risk factor linked to higher rates of personality disorders. In fact, individuals with CUD show elevated instances of personality disorders when compared to the general population. This is especially concerning for our youth, who may turn to cannabis as a coping mechanism for their emotional pain. But it doesn't stop there. As cannabis use intertwines with alcohol and prescription medications, it creates a dangerous cocktail that can amplify erratic behaviors. This is particularly evident among juveniles, who may find themselves acting out of character. Research indicates a dose-response relationship. The more cannabis consumed, the greater the risk of developing psychotic symptoms and disorders. These findings underscore the potential for cannabis to trigger or worsen psychosis, a frightening prospect for those already vulnerable. We need to delve deeper into this tangled web. Experts stress the importance of comprehensive research to fully understand how cannabis exacerbates existing mental health issues. What pathways does it create for addiction and dysfunction? The answers could be critical in shaping future health policies. As we navigate the evolving landscape of cannabis legislation, let's not forget the silent struggles faced by many. Communities are increasingly recognizing the need for open conversations about mental health and substance use. Awareness and understanding are essential in fostering a healthier future for our youth. Another critical factor is the role of mental health services in addressing these issues. Many young people lack access to adequate mental health care or may feel stigmatized when seeking help. It's essential to enhance these services, making them more accessible and tailored to the needs of those struggling with cannabis use and mental health disorders. Family dynamics also play a significant role in the relationship between cannabis use and mental health. Families often bear the burden of understanding and addressing the complexities of their loved one's substance use. Support systems must be strengthened to empower families in navigating these challenges together. Furthermore, peer influence cannot be overlooked. Adolescents are heavily influenced by their social circles, and if cannabis use becomes normalized among friends, the likelihood of usage increases. Education and awareness campaigns should target peer groups to foster environments where healthy choices are the norm. Lastly, the potential for co-occurring disorders presents a daunting challenge. Individuals with personality disorders may also experience depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues. The interplay between these conditions and cannabis use can create a complicated landscape for diagnosis and treatment, highlighting the need for integrated approaches in mental health care. If you or someone you know is struggling, reach out. You're not alone. Together, we can break the stigma and pave the way for a brighter future. Awareness, support, and education are key in transforming lives and communities. Thank you for watching. Let's continue this vital conversation.
All right, and we definitely will continue this vital conversation. I'm going to show another video here. It's a quick one. It's one off of TikTok there that shows the alarming rates in cannabis or marijuana. Is not on this chart here or in this video, but it shows from 2000 to 2025 the alarming rates on what drugs or what substances that illegal or legal took over and caused the most death rates. All right. So I thought it was a little interesting to actually see and it may not be 100% accurate, but you guys get the idea. All right, and if you saw in that chart, you could see that, of course, COVID was a year when everything just kind of exploded. And I know we're not talking about fentanyl there, but fentanyl is top of the charts, and there's been fentanyl exposures, there's been fentanyl deaths, there's been fentanyl overdoses to where Narcan wasn't even effective on the fentanyl. So therefore, it's a cocktail of just substances inside the human body that the human body cannot absorb and or know what to do with, so it unlocks or provokes other personality disorders. I know during this training and I've seen firsthand where people I went to school with, I know there was a guy who I went to school with, it was a class clown. He wasn't overly intelligent, but he wasn't a dummy either. He was always a class clown. He was always involved in something. I remember he left for one of the military service units right after high school, and from what I heard, he went to a college party, did some sort of an illegal substance and took a hit from it and never came back. I mean, he's had mental health issues the entire time. I actually dealt with this individual a few times while working, believe it or not, and just seeing on how the progression of the life has been to where I knew this person beforehand to seeing where they are now. I know a couple other people where they say the frontal lobe isn't fully developed until more, especially in males, until the age of 25, and so therefore altering the frontal lobe or putting substances inside the body kind of regresses the growth of it or the development or the arrested development of it. So if there is some sort of mental health trigger or DNA within that individual, sometimes it can stay dormant if during normal course of life, but there can be some sort of substance that unlocks that and triggers that and then shoots it right to the top. And sometimes it may be treated, sometimes it may be one of just those moments, other times it's there forever and it does not go away. I've seen that in a couple instances with people I've known 100%. Rich saying the DEA has resisted taking marijuana off as a Schedule 1 for decades. Absolutely. Yes, they have resisted taking it off as a Schedule 1 for decades. Again, I know it's kind of like this from the earth. People believe it's safe. People take it for many kinds of disorders or treatments and things like that. But also when you add in the normalities of it, where it's becoming the social norm. I've dealt with kids whose parents allow them to smoke. They even said that they're allowed to smoke, even when before the medical cards came out, before medicinal marijuana came out, their parents allowed them to do that. And so therefore they didn't believe that they could get arrested or go downtown on the charge, and they actually could, and 100% did. But as we see in the families, like we discussed in the podcast before, families are no longer as nuclear as they used to be. So therefore, children who are seeing or the results of divorce or in the middle of single parentness or going through the family court system, which is just wrecking the entire family industry, in my personal opinion. Then they're offered to go to some sort of treatment, some sort of therapies. Therapies are now, in my personal opinion, not all, but most are a way for I'll put it this way. There was a therapist in the training that I went to who admitted that if that individual comes to their therapy session and they're not diagnosed with something, they get a lower payout, from the insurance company. Then instead, if they actually diagnose them with something, they get a higher payout. They get reimbursed. Their agency or their company that they work for gets a higher kick out for that. So therefore, it's kind of, is it mislabeling happening? Is it incentivized to label an individual coming in for some sort of treatment? Yes, it is, because that company is making money. That person's making money off of that. So the insurance company, for one, is kicking out the money. Then when they get diagnosed with something, they get prescribed medicine or some sort of over-the-counter of medication, whatever it may be. So the medication, the insurance companies, they get paid. The medical industries, they get paid out for it. The therapist companies, they get paid out for it, all for neutralizing or kind of putting toxic things in our body that are supposed to be treating us, as opposed to actually digging for the big picture and actually fixing the whole mind, body, and soul of that person. And I mean, conspiracy theorists have said on podcasts that I've seen before as well that the wars of the future are no longer fought from other countries trying to take over. Yeah, it's kind of like the Genghis Khan or the Napoleon Bonaparte or Sun Tzu, divide and conquer, divide from within. So if you're, for one, breaking down the number one structure of the United States that build businesses and builds a country is the family system, then therefore you attack younger generations and younger before they even know what's going on. You've divided and conquered the country. You could basically walk in, because for one, you see that the military enlistment rate has gone down. Law enforcement and first responders going for jobs have gone down. Pride in the country has gone down. So therefore, if you have no one defending or fighting for your home base, your field, then I mean, it's easy to come in and take over the land. And basically, I think that's what the ultimate plan is, but that's a whole conspiracy theorist system in itself. I'm not going to get into all that. We will talk about that in the upcoming podcast that this is kind of I'm referencing into. So we're talking about, we saw the drug deaths from 2025. Talked about other countries, the cocktails of mixing just simple base marijuana and other things in the system, therapy, insurance, how to pay out. You get a diagnosis, you get coverage, you get a customer for life. Basically, the insurance companies have a customer, the medical companies have a customer, therapist has a customer, because they'll be coming back over and over and over again. And then you get the CUB, the Cannabis Use Disorder. We talked about the frontal lobe development, the arrested development for that. And then talking about with law enforcement and first responders, we were talking about forensic analysis and psychological autopsy, ones for a living person, one's for a person who's now deceased, and looking for what may have been the contributing factors of them, whatever the situation was, homicide or whatever it may be, that individual left, or the not even the perpetrator, what put them in that state of mind. We talked about perpetrators that didn't know what they were doing in that moment. Yes, mate, that can be used as defense, but other times can that be used as some sort of psychosis, some kind of schizophrenia. I don't want to start mislabeling or putting things out there, but some sort of personality disorder, some sort of mental health disorder. Could it be triggered by that, just from having a cocktail of substances in the body and you're not knowing exactly how to act? Others use that as a feature and then there's those that talk about how they actually really do not know what's going on, or they're acting out of character because their brain waves are actually going through their warps. Back in the day, we used to see marijuana laced PCP. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. That was a big scare actually when I was coming on marijuana laced PCP, and they showed the guy who was high on PCP on one of the videos in the academy, who actually was naked. He was a relatively in shape and strong man, felt no pain. He was just busting through the wooden fence wall. There were multiple officers. They could not subdue him, get him down. They were trying to tase him. They were pepper spraying it. Nothing had an effect on him because he was just so high on PCP. He didn't feel the pain. He was out of his mind. He was just living supernatural body, a supernatural experience in that moment, and that was not good for him and the officers involved either. You're absolutely right. I remember coming in. I think the popular drug in the area where I worked when I first started was heroin, and there was a big scare on getting jabbed with a needle doing pat downs, and that's kind of evolved. Drugs come and go. They recycle. Others come in a different version or a newer hybrid of it. And so I remember when K2 and Spice hit the scene, and now we're seeing variations of that being mixed with the actual natural ones, and it's having alarming effects not only on the family but on the kids. You see it in the schools. Teachers aren't able to teach it to the effectiveness that they want. Parents are sending their kids to school expecting the teachers to raise their kids. When their kids get in trouble, they call the law enforcement officer expecting to discipline their kids, when basically the whole foundation starts at home. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about nature versus nurture, and how that, of course, leads on down the gateway of the trap of many different things. Mental illness is developed, of course, between the ages of 19 to 25 with the unlocking of the frontal lobe and the growth of the frontal lobe. Where I'm trying to go to, we already talked about the unlocking of the DNA, where you may have some sort of mental health gene or something in your DNA that gets triggered, and it takes the forefront, and that becomes your new personality, your new norm. Some of the effects of the drug effects itself, it affects the behavior. Social media, we're talking about, so this upcoming live, we're going to be talking about the effects on our juvenile, our upcoming generations, the drug effects that it has on them, the behaviors, the lack of discipline, the lack of authority, following figures. Social media has been involved. The violence, the runaways, I remember, were a one-off when I first started. Now they're all the time for juveniles that want to spend time with a boyfriend, girlfriend, or they're running some sort of illegal business or doing some sort of criminal activity. Parents have no authority over them. They come and go as they please. So therefore, running away has become the norm, where they're actually getting involved in illegal human trafficking situations. And it's become the social norm. Again, the frontal lobe, the cultural environment, where before it seemed like it was isolated in certain sectors, even in underserved communities. And I mean, I worked in some and seeing that, but still there were still pockets of it where there was pockets. Okay, this section is, there's people who is going to go to the plant or going to go work in the warehouse and get things done. There's these people who are just, if this is an area that, needs to be targeted and redirected, but now it's sporadic, it's spread out, untreated and unchecked. What happens with that? And looking, what I've seen a lot, the effects of edibles and how they send people into almost extreme paranoia, or they start hallucinating, or they become anxious and nervous, and they start to have the fight or flight or freeze, fight or flight freeze. You get what I'm saying? They start freezing and they can't function, they can't move. And the edibles, which can be sold at the distributors, dispensaries, is what I'm looking for. And the effects on them, I mean, that's more chemicals inside the body that alters who you actually are. It alters how you effectively communicate and work in this world, and what things happen to you in the process of that. I just want to touch on that. I told you this one was going to be a shorter one. I'm looking forward to it. So the upcoming live itself, I got all the videos or the podcast where we'll discuss it. It'll be a Certain Be Safe to be an explainer video, but it's going to show the effects, not just on marijuana or cannabis, but the effects on the role reversals, how some parents are afraid of their kids, how there's arrested developments of the kids where they're actually adults but still living in the house. They don't know what to do with them. That being mediocre, using any kind of illicit drugs is the social norm, and how it's affecting them, how it's going to affect our society as a whole. For as each generation is getting older, some looking to retire out or age out, others should be starting to take over and wanting to run the country. And what's going to happen with the country? You see what demographics are being moved out, what demographics are being moved in, and the country has to continue to function. And the country's main job is a lot of people like to believe that the government's here to protect them, to support them to an extent, yes, but the United States of America is a business, it's a corporation, so it's a business first. So if they're going to take care of the business, they have to take care of that bottom line. How do you think that bottom line is going to get taken care of? If it's already in the red, how do you come up from in the red? I'm not trying to get too political or anything like that, but it's all one big circle, it's all one big melting pot that affects each other. And it's not just a law enforcement problem or a law enforcement solution, but everything comes to law enforcement because it's the first call. Anything goes bad, it's 911. And so therefore, just trying to bring that information and that education to the forefront. Hopefully by next week we'll have it ready. If not, then we'll continue on. This is the podcast Black and Blue. The podcast is just for you. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think of the intro. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think of the explainer video or anything else. I appreciate all of you. I just wanted to bring you something today. I'm looking forward to it, so I didn't want to just rest and not bring at least that much to you. Puts you in the mindset of things that I've talked about before and things that we're bringing forward. We're moving the needle forward one show at a time. So I appreciate all of you. This is the podcast Black and Blue, the podcast just for you, where we go live weekly. And when we go live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a law enforcement officer or a first responder, whether they're rookie, season, or retiree. And we talk about their trainings, experiences, and their publications. We don't fall short when we do it. So therefore, get your thought process going, get your questions going. We'll hopefully next week I should be right back on track to getting some things done, and we're going to continue moving the needle forward. I appreciate all of you. Make sure you guys tag, like, share, and subscribe. Still trying to keep the podcast going. Appreciate everything. Let me get things out of here. Yes, I covered everything that I wanted to touch on. Of course, we're going to have the meat and potatoes discussion coming up, so stay tuned. Appreciate all of you. 10-4 over and out. You guys have a good weekend.
Black as you is, there's a whole lot of blue still shining through.
Just the facts, ma'am.
I'm not a bad cop.
I never once said you were. It would be real simple if the problem was bad cops. It ain't.
Just the facts, ma'am.